Happy holidays for 2024. Did you get the wrong gift? Or maybe that stocking was not full of the things you really wanted? Perhaps under the tree, that gift you've been hinting at all year just wasn't there. Or maybe you've got some extra Christmas cash and some gift cards that you need to spend because they've burned a hole in your pocket. I'm Twisty, and in this video we're going to go through a few things that I think I would have liked in my Christmas stocking, or maybe you do. Let's have a look. Every year I do pretty well for Christmas, for a man my age, but there's always that one thing that I could have used that maybe someone didn't get me because they thought it wasn't appropriate. I'm here to tell you it probably was appropriate and I probably did want it. I've tried to put them into price categories. Now I'm in Australian dollars, so I've tried to use the US dollars. So I'm going with the under 20, the 50 or less, or the 100 or more option. In the 20 or less, depending on which country you're in, you can't play your bass without strings, and it's a good idea to swap your strings over every couple of gigs or once a month if you're just rehearsing at home, or as you start to find them going a bit dead. Now personally, I like rotor sounds. Been using them for years. I prefer the Billy Sheehan roto sounds, the Swing 66. Got a slightly lighter D and a heavier E, but the normal Swing 66 rotos are brilliant. From a flat round perspective, again, I stick with the roto sounds. I like the Steve Harris ones, only because I don't actually know much about flat rounds, and so I go with these. Other popular strings on the market, from branding perspective, are the Dunlop Super Brights. They get a really big write-up, and I recently saw Martin Allison from Scott's Bass Lessons do a review on those. They sound great. Again, round wounds. The Elixir NanoWeb bass. Now I use the Elixir NanoWebs on my electric guitars. I haven't used them on bass, but if they're anything like the guitar strings, they're awesome. Stay bright, slinky. If you're into flat wound, the Labella flat wound are the go-to. Plectrums or picks. Now, whilst I play with a finger style, I always carry a set of picks with me. And the best ones to use are the ones from custompicks.com.au. So I don't know if you can see this, but you can get your picks custom made. This one's got my logo on it. It's got my website on the back. I've got another one over here, which is the album cover from one of the Reckless Empire albums with our logo on the back again. You can get any style or size you want. You can put any images on there, like the limitations, you can't put any nude on there or extra rude. But again, they are, I like the heavier gauge. I don't like the big triangles. I like these. The size I use is based on the Dunlop Tortoise, the green one. So I've gone with that size. I use that for guitar. I use it for bass when I do play. The other advantage of these is they're great for branding, so that when you're playing and you can just flick them around, right? Like a bit Gene Simmons like, really. So again, advertising for the band, even if you don't use them as a bass player, throw them out looking for advertisement. Depending on what style you get, these range from about 63 cents per pick, US dollars, or $1 a pick in Australia. So well worth the money. Other gear that I quite often use, depending on the bass I've got, if I've got a bit of a low end buzz going on, these Groove Gear fret straps. They just flick over the top, and you Velcro it on. Put it on nice and lightly. You put it right at the top and it gets rid of that bit of buzz. The other thing, looking for Reggie Wooten, Victor Wooten's older brother, he uses hair ties to do a similar thing. And what he does is he slides it down and puts it over almost like a capo, and he can then play harmonics, etc. Without that buzz in the background. So again, these fret wraps are quite good depending on the playing style and if you've got a little bit of buzz going on. Thoroughly recommend these. They're quick to take off. Just leave them in your gear bag. Use them when you want to, don't use them when you don't want to. So bass guitars are reasonably heavy instruments compared to electric guitars and acoustic guitars. Although those Les Pauls are pretty bloody heavy. I wouldn't want one of those. So you want something that's going to be comfortable to hold it over your shoulders, especially if you're doing like 4:45 sets for New Year's Eve. I wonder if you'd be doing that. So you're looking for something that's fairly wide to spread the weight over your shoulder, not something like those car seatbelt style that guitar players use. They tend to be digging into your shoulder over time and they're not that comfortable. My advice would be to pick up something that's between 2.5 and 3 inches wide. This one I'm using at the moment is 2.5 inches wide. It's leather. It's from the Bass Centre in Melbourne, Victoria. It is the, hang on a second, Colonial leather loop, and it is really comfortable. It's locked in at the side, so once I've adjusted it, it doesn't move. I personally have my settings so that as I stand and sit, the bass stays at the same level. I got that hint from Billy Sheehan in the early 90s, and it's worked for me so far. The other type that I really like, which I actually have on all of my other basses, is this one. This one's the Neotech Mega strap. So it has a webbing to connect it to the bass at one end, which is adjustable, and it has locked on at the other end with leather. It has a padding all the way through it, and it's foam covered. So it has a little bit of stretchy give in it. I don't know if you can see that. I find this the most comfortable strap I've used. I have it on my guitars and most of my basses, and it's ridiculous. I'll put a link below. Again, your preference on what you want, but I find this to be absolutely amazing. While we're talking about straps, the other thing that you can get yourself is locking mechanisms. So I put locking straps on each of my, locking buttons on each of my straps. This allows me to basically, I'll see how this one does it. I can disconnect the bass, grab a new bass, plug it back in again, and I don't have to change the strap around. So for me, it makes life easier when I'm changing around. I have one strap, however many basses I have. Also, it helps keep it on the guitar so it doesn't fall off. Now, I have seen people say that they don't work very well. I've been using them for 20 odd years and I don't have the problem. I'll put a link below to the ones that I use. There are a few ranges of them. And if that fails, you can always use the Eddie Van Halen method of putting a ring bolt in and a D-shackle. All right? Again, that's that Neotech strap. Another good gadget for this range, between $50 and $100, is the Mark Bass Bass Keeper. Now, I haven't got mine on me because it's in my gig bag ready to go for a gig tonight, but here's the picture from their website. This allows you to limit the amount of gear you're covering. You basically Velcro your bass into that. You then Velcro that to your cabinet, the furry stuff on your cabinet, and that allows you to hold your bass against your amp cab, so you don't need to carry a guitar stand with you. I keep it in my gig bag all the time. Another great indispensable gift, if you haven't got one as a gigging musician, or even if you're just playing at home and you want to do some basic setup, is a toolkit. The Dunlop System 60, this Dunlop System 65 kit has all the bits that you need it to take with you with your gigging bag. If you need to change strings on the go, or even just keep in your toolbox, I think these are great. Dunlop do make bigger kits, and Diodario also make toolkits. So have a look and see which one suits your budget and the tooling that you need. The next best thing is a multi-tool, but that won't come with a cutter or a string winder. So depending on how important that is for you, I really like these kits. One of the things that I find the most useful in my gigging gear is a torch. In a dark stage area, if you drop something on the floor, you can't find it. You need a torch to find it. You could use your phone torch if you want as a last resort, but sometimes that doesn't work well. Especially if you're looking for something you need both hands. These pocket torches are great. You can put them in your mouth, use your hands and take them off. Alternative would be to put one on your head, but I like these ones. Another perfect use for the torch, apart from flashing the drummer between sets, is to, if you've got cabling issues or connectivity issues behind your amp and your gear, then a torch will be really handy to try and work out what's going on. Please avoid shining them at guitarists, they get dazed easily. Now we're starting to go into the above $100 mark. And whilst you can get these for less than $100, in fact, some of them are less than 50 bucks, I really like these Polytune clip-on tuners. So a clip-on tuner, in my experience, is really useful in your kit bag to take with you as a spare. Most of us have got, you know, a Helix with a tuner on it, or you've got a tuner pedal on your board. If that fails, then these clip-on tuners are fantastic. Now again, I use the Polytune clip. It clips onto the headstock like that, angles aside, and it tunes as I go through. It'll show up the tuning. I use the Polytune because I've got the Polytune Mini for my pedal board, and I've been using the Polytune app on my phone, so I just like that Polytune from TC Electronics style. It is a little bit more expensive, but it's robust. I've had this for 8 years plus, and as a backup, it's fantastic. Again, I'll put some links below to some other ones that are sort of within the $30 to $40 mark, like the Boss TU50. It's also rechargeable. So again, these are other options, but I recommend a portable clip-on tuner as a spare. Coming up at price a little bit more is a guitar wireless system. So I use the Line 6 relay. What I'm really seeing good reviews on at the moment is the X5 A58, which is at the 5 kilohertz level. There's lots of reviews on YouTube saying that's now really good for a low priced wireless. Now you can go all the way up to Shure, Sennheiser and larger professional systems, but if you're just doing local pub type gigs, then these ones are not bad. They clip in and you don't need to have a whole rack unit assigned to in-ear monitoring. Sorry, you don't need to have a whole rack unit decided for your wireless. Now if you've got a rack and you want to put all that stuff in, fantastic. Again, I've got mine bolted to my pedal board. If you're going to do that and you don't have an Attitude bass needing 2 of them, then the other alternative that's getting lots of good reviews is the Shure. And I'll put a link to that below as well. Going to wireless, then the other thing you're looking at is potentially an in-ear monitoring system. Now, I've got a number of them. So you can see behind me, I've got the Mi Pro, which I no longer take with me on to gigs, but it's sort of concert ready professional level. For most pub gigs and small stages, I'm using this X5 UV4, I think it is. U4, there you go. These are, as you can see, really small. It clips on my belt. I put a pair of headphones into there, which also you should be looking for. And it works really well. So that end goes on my belt, and then on the mixing desk, or your monitor mix, all you're doing is you're plugging the transmitter in, and it just goes into the XLR jack. This one's female, so there'll be a male on the outside. This then sends to that. You get up to 100 meters or 30 feet, and it's multi-channel, so you can select a frequency to stay out of everyone else's way. These are really good. I can't say more about these. They're just awesome for the size, the weight, the price. They're just excellent. They are a mono mix, so if you're looking for that full stereo left and right, panning of the drums, lots of stuff, you won't get that. But again, from a live gig perspective, you probably don't need it. So pair this with your favorite monitors, in-ears, and go with that. Finally, you can always get a new bass. You can hint at that for a long time, but a new bass, always something you need. I'll put links below to all the things that I've talked about here. This is the gear that I use and I really, really recommend. The devices in the links below, there may be some affiliate links for it, but I'm not sponsored by anyone. These are gear I use. What you should be looking at is the types of things I've been talking about. So straps, strings, basses, and then find the ones that are suitable for you, comfortable for you, the color that you like, the price range that you're in. Again, wireless guitars, you can get something that goes from $3,000 to $5,000 down to something that's a couple of $100. Clip-on tuners you can get from $300 all the way down to $30, $40. Have a great Christmas break, and I'll see you in the new year. And while you're resting up, trying to avoid Home Alone or Love Actually for the umpteenth time, check these videos out.